Welcome to another great episode of the Contractor Business Builder podcast. We have the honor of hosting Jon Engquist. He is the founder of Subtrack. Really excited to dive into all the stuff you're doing with Subtrack and how it can help contractors just improve their processes and business. So how are you doing today, Jon?
Good, Derek. Thanks for having me on.
Definitely excited to dive into all this stuff. Can you just share a bit about your background and the idea or inspiration behind Subtrack?
Yeah, for sure. I am a construction lifer, right? I'm a third generation roofer by trade. My grandfather started our family business in 1957 here in the San Francisco Bay Area. My parents took it over. So I kind of grew up in that business. So I grew up in the roofing industry. Most recently, I worked there for the past 15 years. I worked there doing everything from kind of project coordination all the way up to being vice president of that company. So I kind of saw it all from the ground level all the way up to the top. And one of the things I noticed is that it was so hard when we wanted to bring in new hires, when we wanted to expand and scale. It seemed like there were more fires to put out all the time, and we were kind of struggling with that. And I spoke with my business coach, and he let me know that the kind of the step one to kind of getting all that under control was to document your systems and processes so that you can bring someone into your company. You can explain to them how you do things at your company may differ from someone else's company. So I thought that was a great thought, and started reading books about how you could kind of systemize construction, books like the E-Myth or Traction, things, all the usual suspects. And, just had this idea that there was no platform that I felt like I could use for contractors that really allowed me to organize my system and my expectations and standards and all my how-to in a way that was really conducive to construction. So that's why I had the idea for Subtrack. And we're trying to make that happen for contractors everywhere to make it easier for them to kind of create, organize, and share their most important processes with their team.
Yeah, it's a big step forward in the industry to have something like that. I think you've created a very unique platform that's very niche and specific to that pain point and challenge. A lot of my clients and contractors I talk to is they've been doing business a certain way for a long time. They know their process, they know how to do things, but eventually they want to give that knowledge to other people, to delegate, to build out systems in their business. But there's that disconnect, I think, between them having the knowledge and then actually getting it documented. And a lot of them, don't know where to start or don't have a conducive platform to do that, where they've got, documents here or there kind of pieced together instead of having, one solid place to put everything together. So what challenges do you feel like contractors have with documenting, standard operating procedures, and how does Subtrack address those issues or challenges?
Yeah, sure. I think, talking with contractors, the biggest thing is just having time. It's a time intensive process to have to document all of your processes, all of your systems, how you want things to be done from start to finish. Many contractors have multiple jobs, project types that they work on. They may have multiple trades that they kind of oversee and perform. So it can take a lot of time. Again, also installers or contractors are installers first and foremost a lot of times. So they don't maybe know how to get started with that documentation, and, firing up a Google Doc or a Word document blank is kind of daunting, right? Where do I start? How do I get this going? And finally, I think another concern is, hey, my team's not even going to use it. Even if I take all this time to make all this documentation, make it really detailed and good, are they even going to use it? Are they just going to tell me, oh, I didn't see that or whatever? So we're trying to solve all of those problems with our platform. We want to make it super easy for contractors to get started. We want to save them time by making it quick and efficient for them to do that documentation process with their team, and then put all of that information in front of their employees so that they can have actionable guidelines either out in the field, in the office, no matter what they're doing. Trying to solve all those pain points, I think, is really good, because a lot of contractors struggle with those.
Yeah, definitely. I think you hit the nail on the head a number of times there, as far as contractors often, they don't know where to start, maybe because it is something, you haven't come across before, especially if you've come up like a lot of tradespeople or contractors. You've kind of started on the tools, you're familiar with the site, you're used to managing projects, but the tech side or, standard operating procedures, unless you've worked in a larger company that had them, you probably haven't been exposed or, seen what that can look like. And it's hard to know kind of where to start or how to use it. And then there's also the additional challenge, which you mentioned, is once you have that document in place, whatever whatever it looks like, actually having it implemented, having the guys use it, having some consistency and some feedback, and having it actually make a difference in your company is another place where there's often a disconnect. And having a good platform and one place where people can access that information, I think the easier you can make that information to access, and the more, step by step streamlined, the easier it'll be for that implementation process when you actually have to hand it to your guys and explain to them, this is the new thing that we're doing, and actually make it have some weight and not just be brushed aside and forgotten about next week or whatever. So
yeah, I think all contractors are kind of familiar with that. You tell someone to do something, and a lot of it's verbal direction to your own guys, right? We often tell everyone, get it in writing, right? But we often, as contractors ourselves, kind of want to just get it out of our mind, tell someone to do it verbally, and that can work one time, but may not work the next time. Or when you bring someone else in, they didn't hear that same direction, or there's a lot of miscommunication there. So just as it's important for contractors to get things in writing from customers or general contractors or things like that, it's important to put that same thing in writing for your team so that you can point to something and have them be accountable to a written, documented standard of what they need to do.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not that you're creating these things for them to be robotic and it's just like follow the steps and do it exactly this way. It's to give them that base of knowledge so that when you do tell them the verbal, like, go nail this wall together, or go pick up these materials, or your admin to invoice the client, that they already know the way that it should be done, and they can refer back to it if they need guidance or help. And it reduces the amount of communication needed and the amount of inaccuracies and just inconsistencies throughout a business. So tons of benefits to having these kind of documents in place. What would you suggest for a contractor wanting to get started? You mentioned that as a pain point of like not kind of knowing where to start or how to get that maybe first document or first systems in place. What would you suggest for contractors getting started?
Well, I would suggest for them to sign up for Subtract right now, schedule a demo with us. But aside from that, I think it's important to realize that it doesn't have to be a daunting process, right? I don't think you have to set out to document every process in your company right away. Right? It's important to think, what are the most high leverage processes that if I documented them and I could get these standardized and get these under control would really save me a lot of time. Maybe it's collecting money at the end of the project, right? Maybe you let money linger out there, and that's not good, right? That's all your profit there oftentimes for your project. So let's figure out a way to get paid faster, or let's figure out a way to start projects better, or get our sales process refined so we get more revenue coming in the door. What are the highest value things that we can standardize? The things that maybe take your time the most. Right? So let's get those things standardized. It doesn't have to be an all-in-one shot, right? It can just be little bit by little bit over the course of time. And even that can prove dividends for your company. And again, it's also like it's a living, breathing document, right? It's not like we're creating our SOPs and that's it, and then we're done forever. Things change over time. Your tools you use change, your software changes, your personnel changes. You want to improve your processes over time. So it's a part of your company. It's that training, it's that lifeblood, it's a secret sauce of your operational department to make your company run the way that it should run.
Yeah, definitely. I like what you said about not trying to do everything at once. I think that's a common mistake or challenge, if you will, of construction business owners to get started is they want to systematize this and that, and they kind of like are all over the place instead of taking maybe a little bit of time before you get started to figure out, what's going to save me the most time, what's the biggest headaches I have, what's maybe the easiest to implement to get started with, and sort of figure out a priority of maybe that's your financials, maybe that's your field guys, maybe, whatever it is, pick one thing, work on that thing, get that up to 80-90% implemented. It's never going to be perfect, and then kind of move on to the next thing instead of trying to get everything all at once and kind of having these half done systems and processes, and then it becomes a mess.
And no one uses them.
Exactly. So with SOPs, there's the human component. As far as employees and people inside the organization using it. How does Subtract facilitate effective training and onboarding of new employees?
Yeah, well, it definitely helps with training and onboarding, but I think it actually even starts before that at the hiring process, right? Because you want to hire A players in your company, right? You want to hire the best of the best. If you could, you would have all A players. They'd all know what the program is. They'd all be able to read your mind. They'd probably all be you in a lot of ways, right? And you'd like to have that knowledge that you have dispersed around your company, right? So, but not only that, I think these really smart people want to find a company that has these sorts of training materials in place. Not only is it good for them so that they know when they come into the company, hey, I know what I need to do. They have it laid out for me. This makes it really easy for me. I don't have to go ask the big boss every time. time there's I have a question about something. It's all there. It's self-sufficient for them. And I think that's really attractive to really good employees. I also think that really good employees want to know that they're going into a culture at a company where there are other really good employees that are trained really well, that know this system, so that they don't feel like they're coming into a new situation, having to carry other people or having any questions, or, they want to know they're coming into a system that is predictable and operates well. And so I think that that's really attractive to candidates. But as far as once they get on board, Subtract makes it really easy because we have a way to document your entire system, whatever processes you have in your company, whether it be for different project types, different departments, you can document those systems and be able to lay it out very clearly from step one all the way to the last step, how we do this process here. So it makes it super easy for those people to come on board. You don't even, one of the biggest strengths about it is that you don't have to actually hire people from the construction industry, right? If you have a playbook and you feel good about it as a company about training your team, you can get intelligent people from any industry. Maybe if you're in roofing, you want to get a project manager that did painting before, right? If you can train them sufficiently in your systems and your applications, that's a huge benefit because your hiring pool gets bigger. And there's just so many benefits to having all of those systems documented: training, hiring, recruiting, all of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Lots to unpack there. And I like how you mentioned, it's the processes start even before the employee is hired, with the finding candidates, getting the jobs, sending, job help wanted ads out there and stuff like that, as well as the hiring process. So you're going to have more consistency if you have good, a system for hiring as well. And then the onboarding, a nice quick win is to have a templated email that tells the employee before they start everything that they kind of need to know to get started. I think that alleviates a lot of, stress or anxieties for some employees, especially if they're younger. They're starting in a new position. They don't really know what they're doing or where they should be. So if you can send them an email that says, you're going to be starting here at this time. You're going to be talking to this guy, whether it's yourself or the foreman. These are the tools you need. Bring a packed lunch or whatever, whatever kind of information, so that, because it's templated email, you can just sort of send it to them, put in a few details, and it takes you maybe a minute or two and gives them a really good feeling of getting started. You could have your employee handbook attached to it and say, please read through this handbook before you show up on site, so that we can then, review it together. And they have this base of knowledge before they even get started on site, and already they're up to speed and feeling good about, working at your company.
Yeah, I think standardizing those hiring processes is really key for a contracting company. I mean, I know in roofing, we were very seasonal, right? So we'd staff up a lot during the summer, and in the work when it was rainy, we didn't have quite as much work for everyone, right? We didn't have that much production work where we're doing large buildings and opening up the whole roof. Yeah. So you're constantly every year having to upstaff and find those people. And that can be a difficult process, whether you do background checks or you do drug testing or you do an interview process, or there's a lot of paperwork that needs to be involved and all that stuff. So to track all of that can sometimes be an issue. So to standardize it with a tool like Subtract could be a really big benefit, and make sure that pipeline of talent is consistent and high quality coming into your company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the beauty of having this in place is most business owners out there, unless you've been established for a long time or kind of, sunlighting or sunsetting your career, want to grow, want to expand, whether that means, doubling, tripling, quadrupling your business over the next, couple of years or 10 years or what have you. If you don't have those systems and processes in place, you're going to get twice as busy, 3 times as busy. And typically, like a lot of contractors out there, you're already kind of maxing out probably for the amount of work and time you can put into your business. So you need to duplicate yourself. As you mentioned earlier, it'd be nice to be able to, duplicate yourself and have all these A players, and having great systems and processes are part of that. Not that you're going to have someone that knows exactly what you know, but you can, again, have that base knowledge and be able to grow a business that's not going to fall apart as you grow. So with Subtract, I know you're always in development, making it better and greater and everything. What's on the horizon? What's some new features that are kind of planned for Subtract? What does it look like in the future?
Yeah. So one of the things that we're really trying to work on is, again, fulfilling that promise to make it super easy and fast for contractors to create, organize, and share their standard operating procedures, right? Mm-hmm. So the biggest part of that is kind of the creation process. So we have a few ways that we work specifically well with contractors to help them get started and help get that all set up. So the first thing that we offer is our Premier implementation plan, right? So that's where we work with you kind of on a hand-holding consulting basis, where we can help help you through a series of interviews. We take on kind of the burden of writing all those SOPs and getting you started with that process. So we can help contractors with that. We've also developed an AI integration where right in our platform, you can chat with our AI bot and either speak out your process. We have a speech to text capability, or you can type in your process. So if you have a former SOP or some checklist that you really like, easy to implement that into Subtrack. So using that really helps fill in all the blanks, things that you may have missed. If you are not sure what needs to be in an SOP, we can kind of help you get the right details in there to make it a useful tool really quickly for your team. So we also just launched we're trying to make the internet's largest construction SOP template library, right? So I think there's a great need. Contractors are learning more and more how important standard operating procedures are for their business, how beneficial they are. There's not really good resource for that for contractors. So we're trying to make a library that is trade specific for many different workflows across many different trades, across many different project types and phases of construction. We started with roofing. So we have 800 unique standard operating procedures already for the roofing industry on that library. And we're looking to expand out even more. So hopefully we're providing all that value for folks. It's absolutely free. So if you went to our construction library right now, you can just copy and paste all the information. It's right there for you. Or the best part is you can use all those templates right inside Subtrack as well. They all integrate nicely in there. So we try to make it super easy for a contractor to get started with something like this.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Why reinvent the wheel when you can just have already some sort of template and just build from there to customize it to the way that you specifically do business or your area or location or what have you. So very cool that you make that available to everyone, and definitely want to go check out that resource and see how it's done essentially. Yeah. As far as like integration, you mentioned you got these SOPs, you can integrate it with Subtrack. Are there other programs, or how does Subtrack fit in with like the larger ecosystem, if you will, of software and programs out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So integrations are definitely on our roadmap. We want to integrate with tools like Company Cam, Loom, things that will make it easier to kind of create these standard operating procedures. What we found though, talking with a lot of contractors, is that everyone kind of has their own way to manage tasks. And, some people use JobTread, some may use Procore, some may use an Excel sheet. So we wanted to make our platform, at least to start out, super flexible. So we allow contractors to integrate with other software using our link or QR code. Is basically the way that we've solved this problem for the time being. So Subtrack makes it super easy to share any process, any workflow, any standard operating procedure by either a link or a QR code. The link is good if you're creating checklists in JobTread, for example, and you can attach a link to how to do a process. That makes it super easy for your employee not to just check off that it was done, but to see a step-by-step kind of vivid instruction manual of how to do that process. So you can link right there to it. That makes it super convenient. And then the QR code is really great because you could print it out, put it on site, put it on a sticker on a piece of equipment if you want to make a workflow for how to maintain that piece of equipment or certain processes that need to happen on site. We make it really easy for your employee to just scan the QR code, pops up the instructions on their web browser, no mobile app or login required. It opens it up, it translates it for them depending on their phone, what their translation settings are on their browser. So super easy for people to write their processes in English, get it translated into Spanish or any other language for the job site. So yeah, that's kind of how we're approaching integrations at this point. I think it's working really well for contractors. So we'll stick with that until maybe we see what else is out there and how we can improve that.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's simple but elegant solution of having links to other, you can put that inside other programs and other documents. It's, it works with any system essentially with, having that linked and you can put it in, your field software or Google Docs or what have you. So that makes a lot of sense.
Email it to a subcontractor. If you have a specific process you want them to follow, you can email it to your staff out in the field. If someone needs account material and they don't know how to do it or fill out a PO, you can quickly get them the information they need. So that's the most important thing, I think.
Yeah, very cool. Once you start to use this too, as a business owner, it'll give you like such a good feeling when you have it in place and someone asks you a question or you have a new employee and like just the realization like, wow, I don't have to explain this over again and over again, or I don't have to train this person over and over again. There'll still be that human connection and like, the experience and side of things, but again, if they can get like 80% of the knowledge from an SOP and they understand the process, and then they just ask, some questions and things like that. And often when they're asking questions, if you're getting the same question again and again, then you need to go back to the SOP and revise it and put that
Right.
information in there. Or if there's like a glitch, in the matrix, and they're not performing the task properly after going through the training, then you know that you need to go back and improve. And it's an ever improving process with SOPs, and your business will get more and more refined, and it'll save you more and more time at the end of the day. Can you tell us about a use case or a contractor that's used Subtrack and how they the benefits or the success that they had with the program?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of our contractors, a roofing company, they have started creating lots of workflows and templates. And what we're looking for right now is we're looking to work closely with contractors who really care about systemizing their business, getting all of their workflows and SOPs documented into Subtrack, and want to systemize their business. And so we're trying to work hand in hand. We work closely with contractors to make sure that they are successful on this. We're a startup, so we are looking for those first contractor partners that can help us improve our product, and then we can also help them by offering that kind of hand-holding consultation service to make sure they're set up for success, because ultimately their success will be our success. So we're working with a roofing contractor right now, home builder. I have another 2 in the pipeline that are we're getting them onboarded soon. So I'm looking forward to expanding and working with more contractors in this vein. But I think already, offices like it because they can kind of divulge, or they can kind of download their information and their expectations, how they do things. So, employees like it because, hey, I can go on a vacation now and trust that my inbox is not going to be completely filled up when I come back because, they were able to do the things while I was gone. Or, the owner can take a vacation and be assured that when they get back, everything, the place won't be burned down, So yeah, I think we're still working with those partners, and long term, we're working to get those case studies and all that sort of stuff. But I hope to maybe then in the next podcast, when I come back on here, we'll have those really good case studies to share with you, because I can already see that it's not even about just documenting it. Sometimes the documentation process, if you do it right with your office, I'm finding that it brings up questions. Hey, how do we want to do this? Right? I've just been doing this the way that I thought was the right way, but it wasn't really the right way. So this is such a great conversation starter too in your business to make sure, hey, are you doing it the right way? Oftentimes as a leader, maybe if we're stuck behind our desk, we don't know what's going on site every day. So it's a good way to kind of check in, hold people accountable to that. And I can already see that that's a really big benefit that it's had on companies so far.
Yeah, definitely. And I find that there is a natural buy-in from employees too, that they're more invested in the culture of the business improves with systematizing a business when done in the right way, because you're asking for feedback, you're figuring out processes. They feel like you care about your company and you care about their position in the work they do enough to try to build out these processes. And when they have ideas or they go through a process and it doesn't work and they tell you why it doesn't work, it'll actually improve their perception of the company, I believe, because they feel like they're part of the growth, they're part of the company. They start to care on a level that usually the owner cares about because it's their company and everything. But you can kind of help the employees take ownership as well of these processes and things like that. So
yeah, and you can really kind of sell it to them. Some questions I have sometimes with contractors is, how do I sell this to my employees? Right, it's extra work that I'm asking them to do. It doesn't. Maybe they think like it doesn't really benefit them, so they can kind of begrudge it a little bit. But it's actually couldn't be further from the truth, because when you document what you do, all of a sudden that allows you to be promoted to the next level and allows someone to easily backfill. Sometimes employees can be held down from those promotions and moving forward in their career, especially in smaller companies, because there's no one else to come back and do the thing that they do, right? You already do your thing really well, so why would I move you to somewhere else, right? Just stay there and keep doing that thing for me. Well, if you document how you do everything, now you can progress to the next level. And if there's already kind of a roadmap for you to get there, wow, isn't that great? So now you can also learn about the next level in your career and also have the assurance that you're not going to be held back by by not being able to be backfilled or things like that. So I see it as a win-win for everyone in the company in that way.
Yeah, and one thing I kind of picked up on there too is you're sort of leveling up as a leader of your company by having to tell the why, how having to explain to employees and provide providing them space to then, improve your leadership ability and step up as more of a management or, entrepreneur type role. So again, just so many different benefits of getting this stuff in place. For people that want to learn more about Subtract, like you said, it's, you guys have come a long way, but you're still improving. So it's really a unique opportunity now for people to get involved with the company and check it out, because, you would have direct input as far as, the kind of the path and some of the features that come into play. So how can people connect with Subtract or yourself to learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. The best way is just to go to subtract.com. You can either try it for free. It's available to just sign up for free. You can also schedule a demo. The demo comes right to me. So if you have any questions for me, you want to see if this is the right fit for your business, please schedule a demo, because I'd be happy to talk to you. But you're absolutely right. This is a good time in our progress of our company, because it's a good opportunity for contractors. I have 15 years of roofing experience that I would like to use to help other contractors start documenting their processes, right? I understand how difficult it is. I have a deep love and passion for contractors everywhere, because I know how difficult being a contractor is. So more than happy to help out. If you're interested in starting this process, systemizing your business, getting serious about documentation, please reach out to us, schedule a demo at subtract.com. And I'd love to talk with you, because we would love to involve you in building the product along, but also making sure that you see success with this.
Yeah, definitely. No excuses for not getting SOPs in place. Check out the link in the description below. We'll put a link to the Subtract website there. Go to the website, get connected with Jon here in the team, and get some SOPs in place. It's going to do a world of good for you. I like what you mentioned before, where maybe we'll have a follow-up podcast in the future and see where the progress goes. I'm going to up it one extra level. If you would like to have some sort of workshop or webinar on how to get your first SOPs in place, or how to build SOPs, maybe we could do some sort of collaboration like that. Drop a comment to this video or podcast wherever you're watching or listening to this, and let us know if you'd be interested in some sort of workshop to build out your first SOPs. So drop a comment below. Any last final words of wisdom, Jon, or last things you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I just think I would just tell people that, if you're serious about systemizing your business and not running around putting out fires every day, documenting your processes is step one. If you want to scale, if you want to grow, if you want to create an asset, your business as an asset, not just a job for yourself, start documenting your processes. It's so rewarding, and it's not going to happen quickly, but over time, if you give the commitment to it, it will really improve your business and your life. So reach out to me if you want some help with that, I guess.
Definitely. Yep. One step at a time. And thanks so much for coming on here, Jon. Really appreciate you sharing your knowledge and telling us how Subtract can, improve construction businesses. Really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Derek.